giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast. And here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Hello. Welcome back. This is episode 4 in the Supercharge Sales Success series, and I am so excited to have you join me. Today, we're going to talk about something fairly near and dear to my heart because I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and use it to take my naps with. You know, I want to talk about burnout. It's so easy to think that burnout is for other people, that you've got a handle on everything, that it's not a big deal, that it's only because of this, that, or the other. To be 100% honest with you, before I realized that I was in burnout, I thought that was for like really weak people, and that I simply did not have time for burnout. And it's funny because I had attended a national leaders conference for the franchise company that I was with. And we had a presentation there, and the guy talked about all of the signs of burnout and all of the this, that, the other of burnout. And I laugh because I laugh, instead of crying. But a really good friend of mine, she owned another agency. We're in this conference room. That one was at that's when we were at the Moon Palace Grand in Cancun, and I was off to the side. And while I was listening to this presentation, I was working on files for back in the office. I was answering emails. I was doing all these things that needed to be done while still also listening. And my friend sent me a text message. She goes, he's talking about you, right? And I was like, no, I don't have time. And I actually still didn't believe it. I listened to that identical presentation again because the company brought the speaker back. He didn't change his presentation. It was the same thing. He was in Toronto. That was a year later. And I was more ticked off by the fact that it was the identical presentation, word for word. I really didn't have time then. And then things started to unravel. And I remember being in hospital for my gallbladder. And unexpectedly, it had not been on my radar. I had pains on the weekend. They suspected it might be my gallbladder. I had to come back. Monday morning, I got a phone call that I need to come in for an ultrasound. And I knew the ultrasound tech, and she said, you never come use medical things. She goes, so I'm going to send you back to the ER, and you're going to wait for a consult with Franco. He was a doctor, but I knew him socially as well. And she goes, you're going to stay there till he comes and sees you. And so he came, and it was getting late. And he said, just so you know, we're admitting you because we're probably going to have to send you up to the University Hospital in Edmonton. And I thought, I don't have time. Anyways, I was in hospital for 4 days. They ended up not taking out my gallbladder. I had to wait till the following week. And in those 4 days of laying there in pain and people complaining about this, that, the other, and I had zero patience for it. And then I had an issue with a staff member who, irony is, as I was going through the ER that morning on a stretcher so they could take me to the hospital, to the other hospital via ambulance, I had actually made a comment, wow, it's really quiet in here. And they said, shockingly, we have had nobody for hours. I don't think we've ever had a shift like that. Well, the irony is I had a staff member who had texted me during that time, not knowing that I was in hospital, tell me how she had been in the ER and she was still there and she was going to be there for hours. But yet I had just gone through there. So I'm going to say we kind of called a bluff on that one. Anyhow, fast forward to everything. I had to take 2 weeks off. This was in what we would consider the peak of the busy season up here in Alberta, because it was October into November, and people are getting ready to travel. They They want to get everything booked. They want to get their winter vacations looked after. And here I was laid up medically. And then my favorite part, I had been in the hospital Monday to Thursday. I went in for a pre-op appointment on Friday, and the doctor said, okay, we're going to do surgery like Monday or Tuesday of next week. And he's like, and then you'll have to take 2 weeks off. And I remember looking at him completely dumbfounded and saying, no, that's not an option. I just gave you 4 days. I can't afford to take time off. And he just said to me, he's like, well, you don't really have an option. When my 2 weeks was up, I remember saying to my husband, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to go back. And that was in 2018. And by Christmas of 2018, I didn't go back. I couldn't do it. So I spent the next while clearing out files, wrapping things up and whatnot. And then I transferred emails and whatnot, and I worked from home. But essentially, I closed my agency at the end of 2018. And I will say I did it because of burnout. Now, fast forward to 2019. In May, I went to a big convention on how to speak. And it was all sorts of speakers there, all sorts of business mentors, things like that. And there was a speaker there by the name of Shalene Johnson, and she teaches marketing and she teaches business and things like that. Back in the day, she taught, she was like the Turbo Jam, Pio on Beachbody type girl. And so I really didn't know what to expect because that's the only way I knew of her. I didn't know of her in a business realm. Well, her presentation was fantastic, but then we went outside. I was there with a friend, and my friend's like, no, I need to meet her. So we went up, and I get this horrible thing where when I get exposed to sun for the first time each year, my face just peels. It's awful. But we had a bit of an issue with that. So my face was flaking, and I'm like, no, I'm going to stay back. She's like, no, that's okay. So we were talking about this, and I said, I closed my agency. And so she was asking me about it, but she said to me, she goes, did you grieve it? And I said, what? She goes, did you grieve the loss of your business? And I said, but I wanted to close it. She goes, it doesn't matter. You still had a vision for it. Here's the scoop. Burnout does not come with this sign that says, please sign here, you're having burnout. Instead, it compounds and it brings up all of these different sorts of things. When we focus on being busy rather than being productive, we're giving ourselves that first-class ticket into burnout. When you're looking at all the different things to do for your business, I want you to ask yourself, which one's going to move the needle? The last episode, we talk about the metrics that matter. If you're not recording your metrics and your data, that's going to start moving you towards burnout because you're going to be constantly changing because you're going to think, well, that didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. Or worse yet, you'll have all these ideas in your head and you'll be like, oh yeah, no, we're doing good. Oh yeah, no, we're getting lots of bookings. But yet you're not realizing when you're not writing it down, how many are coming out the other end that aren't converting, that you've already invested the time, the energy, and the effort into, but you didn't convert them and you didn't even notice that you didn't convert them. But at the end of the day, you think, I was so busy today. Where did all my time go? When you're building your travel agency, when you're building your travel business, you need to ask yourself, which things are going to move the needle? To me, it's a couple things. One, you need to have marketing that is going to be on brand, on task, on everything. Marketing is a strategy. It is not just a tactic. Learning how to use YouTube for the first time, if you have no other way to get them into your funnel, it's not about being popular. It's not about getting tons and tons of follows. It's about getting people into your funnel, which means they're getting onto your email list so that you can continue to market to them, so you can continue to have a conversation. Every couple of years, Meta, Facebook, Insta, whatever you want to call them, crash. And if that is where your entire popularity is, and you don't have any way to contact people off of that, you're going to be toast. That's why you're going to see on a lot of my Instagram posts, I'm going to invite you over to sign up for this waitlist, or I'm going to invite you over to join this webinar, or I'm going to invite you over to join this, that, or the other, or download my PDF. I give away free content so that I can get you into my email list. I'm not hiding it. I'm not. Because the thing is you're smarter than that. You know that when I say, come download this free PDF, you know that I'm putting you into my email list, partly because you have to check the box. But the other thing is you have been in business long enough to know that that's how that works. Now, I promise not to spam you. That's not my mission. That's not my goal. The only time we pick up the amount of emails that we send is when we're in a launch, which is going to be happening very shortly here, but also to when there's something different and super amazing coming out. For example, I sent extra email because we're running the Supercharger sales series. But if you are spending all of your time editing a reel, is spending 2, 3, 4, 12 hours editing something that you don't even control who sees it, really a valuable use of your time. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people out there that have done amazing with it, but there's a lot more who did not get anything from it. And so that's where you have to track your data. Track how long are you spending on this? Because if you figure out that you are spending, let's say you're spending 2 hours editing out a reel. What else could you have done in that 2 hours? Where could you have gone? How could you have networked? How could you have had conversations? Or better yet, how many follow-ups could you have done in those 2 hours? The most effective way of growing your business is through repeat referrals, because it is so much easier and less expensive and less resources to keep an existing client than it is to get a new one. And the best part is when you have fabulous clients, it's all about how do you get them to find you more fabulous clients. Turn them into the best little acquisition machines where they go out and find clients for you, where they bring you people, they suggest people to you. But burnout can sneak up. And so instead of sitting at your desk saying that you're doing research for Instagram or whatever, seeing what everybody else is doing, genuinely record what all the tasks you're doing in a day are. What are all the different things that you're doing? And not just one day, because trust me, if you only do it for one day, you suddenly get very, very productive. But it's really and truly recording all the different things that you're doing. Record how long you're spending on each file. Do you need to spend that long? I hear this all the time from people from travel advisors who, oh, well, it took me forever to get them to agree to this. We went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Well, to me, that's an issue in the conversations. That's an issue with the consultations. That's an issue with not understanding the objections, not understanding how to ask for the sale. Because when people go back and forth and they're like, oh, I'm really torn between these, it's really easy to flip that one around. And here's the thing, they may actually not be ready to book. There are a lot of clients out there that are going to drag it out for a month or two. Why? Because they're waiting for a bonus check to come in. Well, in that case, that's really good information to know. But you have to know how to ask them, basically, are you just wasting my time? Can't ask them that way. But it's knowing the right way to ask it. And I think that's my biggest struggle when I look at the trainings that host agencies, consortia, franchises, and other such put out. When it comes to teaching sales, because I see it a lot of times, travel advisors, especially the independent, will say, "Oh, but I get great sales training from my host agency." If that was the case, you would know how to move the conversations along. But sales training is not learning the products, the features and benefits of a product and learning a booking engine. That's just a tactic. That's like learning how to do an Instagram reel. Knowing how to talk to the client, what questions to ask, how to move the conversation along, how to get them going, how to get them off the fence, how to overcome those objections, how to level up the sale so that they get the best possible experience, how to go through all the processes of getting them to rebook and refer you. Those are the things that you need to know about sales. Sales is such a encompassing part of our businesses, and yet so often it gets absolutely no attention, particularly from host agencies and and the consortiums and things like that. They'll do a lot. They'll teach you how to use Instagram. They'll teach you how to do Facebook. They'll teach you how to do whatever it is that they're going to teach you. But all of that is like having a bucket with holes all through the bottom where you're just letting the water pour out. And on the ground, we have booking engines and we have supplier features and benefits, but that water is just pouring right down onto them and it's just going every direction and it's all for nothing. So, when you are looking at how you are spending your time, are you being productive with your time or are you being busy? And do you recognize the difference? I will say it took me coming out of the game to go sit in that hospital room for days to realize how busy I was. The irony is right in around all that time, I had actually, like 2 weeks before that, been to a women in business conference in my own hometown. And they brought in a speaker, and it was about being busy, not productive. And even at that, I'm like, eh. But then she said, we, particularly women, wear being busy as a badge of honor. How are things going? Oh, so busy. Got the kids going here. Business is crazy. Like, I'm so busy. Busy doesn't pay the bills. Productive pays the bills. Popular doesn't pay the bills. Being profitable pays the bills. The choice is yours. My question for you, which one are you going to choose? Okay, this episode ran a little long, might have been a little preachy, not gonna lie, feeling that a little bit. If it was, I apologize. You know what? No, I don't apologize. And here's the thing, because I needed somebody to give me a reality check. And I needed it before I wound up in hospital. I actually feel like that's why my gallbladder went the way that it did and on the particular week that it did, and that everything that went down that week happened because I wasn't listening when somebody else was telling me. I can't stress enough how valuable you need to guard your time. Being busy is not a badge of honor. No matter how much it becomes part of our reflex, part of our world. And in a pre-COVID world, especially, I do think, 2020, 2021, we all kind of slowed down a bit, but I'm seeing it gear back up and almost worse mentally. Seeing people, oh, I'm so busy, like just so busy. And it's almost as if we forgot what being busy was in 2018, 2019. And then 2020, when the world stopped, we all started to exhale a little bit, but we're very quickly picking back up into just being busy and being busy to enjoy life, being busy, too busy to have any peace out there. And like I said, just because you're busy does not mean you're profitable. And just because you're profitable does not mean you're living the life that you wanted to. I invite you to grab a piece of paper and write down, what is the vision? Why are you selling travel? Not who are you trying to help, anything else. Why are you in the travel industry or wanting to become in the travel industry? I know there's a lot of you that listen um, that haven't even quite started yet. Maybe you're somebody who's been in it for decades. I love that you are all from different backgrounds, that we have new to industry and we have ones that have been 20 years, 30 years in. I love that. I think that's so cool. But okay, I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to be back again next week. Check out my Instagram, Art of Selling Travel. I think I'm going to be posting something there later, or better yet, I put an Easter egg. Actually, I kind of called it an Easter egg to a degree for myself, into the Sticky Sales Scenario Facebook group live that I did today. And I hope to see you there. If you need the link, come see me on Art of Selling Travel, or use the link in the show notes. If you're listening on YouTube, YouTube's not letting me put up links yet. I'm going to see what we can do for doing that. But otherwise, if you need anything, come see me on Art of Selling Travel Instagram, and we can hang out there. Bye-bye. Happy selling.